Hey, today I'm talking about 3 Lorne Michaels produced comedies, all featuring former SNL cast members. And the names of those 3 films are Hot Rod, Baby Mama, and MacGruber. First up is Hot Rod. This is a 2007 film by The Lonely Island, and the basic premise is Rod is this man-child who really hates his stepfather. Unfortunately, his stepfather is going to die unless Rod can raise a random amount of money, and he wants to do that so he won't die and that he can in turn beat him up. And I went into this with low expectations. I remember when this came out back in the day and I had no desire to watch it. What changed my mind was I recently got into the Lonely Island and Seth Meyers podcast. It's a podcast where they go through each and every single digital short that the Lonely Island did whilst on SNL, and it's been a delightful listen. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, eagerly anticipating each new episode. It's also just like a fun nostalgia trip. But they had a 2-part episode on Hot Rod, and after listening to that, I was like, all right, let's give it a shot. They seem to really enjoy the experience of making this movie, so let's see how the movie could be. And I love this movie. It's so great. Like, it's really funny. It's really genuine. Yeah, the main character is an asshole, but it's not from a place of malice. Like, yeah, his goal is to kick his stepdad's ass, but it's coming from a place of love. Like, that's how him and his stepdad show love and affection for each other, is through playful fighting. It is absurd because this is an absurd movie, but it's essentially just like wrestling. And like, there are moments where like they bring the mask down and they're more genuine with each other. So like, it isn't about violence, it's about wanting to show love, wanting to be enough for the other person. It's really beautiful. There's so much great heart there, but it's also really funny and really fun, and it moves at such a great pace. I think that's probably like my #1 compliment of the movie, is that like, even if something didn't completely land for me, it didn't really matter because we were just right on to the next thing, and that thing was usually really, really fun. I love the Heelys joke. The Heelys joke is incredible. It's in the background. It's so subtle. Yorma perfectly pulls off that joke. It's brilliant. It's 10 out of 10. That joke alone, amazing. So yeah, no, I loved this movie. It's really fun, really silly, plenty of heart. Top to bottom is just great. So without a doubt would recommend. But I'd also, on top of that, definitely recommend the podcast. Really just the podcast in general. It's been such a great listen. But in particular, the episodes about this movie, you really could just pick and choose which digital short you like the best and just listen to their commentary on that. But really, the whole thing is a great listen. So yes, wonderful movie, definitely recommend. Amazing podcast, highly recommend. Next up is Baby Mama. This is a 2008 film starring Tina Fey and Amy Poehler and a number of other people you would definitely recognize. And the basic premise is Tina Fey is in her late 30s and just can't quite conceive a child on her own, even though she desperately wants one. Thankfully, surrogacy is an option, so she gets white trash person Amy Poehler to carry her baby, and then hijinks ensue. And this movie is interesting. It's okay. I definitely love the chemistry between Amy Poehler and Tina Fey. Like, they're a dynamic duo, so it's no surprise that they are awesome together. I love Tina Fey's chemistry with Greg Kinnear. He's his normal, charming self. His whole thing with a smoothie business that he has is really great. Dax Shepard is in this, and he's really playing a character I've seen him play numerous times, which I thought was going to be annoying, but really in the end it was actually enjoyable. But like, I didn't find the movie all that funny. I didn't find it all that interesting. There were moments that I enjoyed for sure, but nothing like made me LOL. Also, I don't really care for the ending. I feel like it kind of undercut the emotions of the movie and also probably alienate their target demographic, because like, the movie has to be targeted at people who have either want to do surrogacy or have done surrogacy. And like, the end of the movie, spoilers, has her being able to conceive out of nowhere. And like, technically that's a hopeful ending, that like, oh, even if you can't conceive, maybe one day you will conceive. But I feel like, had they gone with a different sort of ending, a more realistic ending in a sense that the target demographic could relate to, would have been more emotionally satisfying. Her conceiving a child felt wrong. It didn't feel like the right choice. It felt like emotional betrayal. So yeah, I don't know. Also, the story was very predictable, even like the twists and turns. It was pretty clear where things were gonna go. So yeah, yeah, I don't know. I did put this in the liked category. Would I recommend it? I mean, it's not a bad movie. If it was like on TV and like you don't really want to change the channel, yeah, sure, watch it. But like, I don't think you really need to go out of your way to watch it. So, yeah. And lastly is MacGruber. This is a 2010 film starring Will Forte and Kristen Wiig. And the basic premise is, it's based off a sketch which was a parody of MacGyver. And like, I don't think I've actually seen an episode of MacGyver, so I don't know how faithful of a parody this is to that. But hot damn did I not care for this movie. The number one thing is simply that MacGruber is an unrelenting asshole. Like, he's just a dick to everyone and has no redeeming qualities. Like, he is just an arrogant piece of shit, so cocky and just so mean and cruel to even the people who are helping him. Like, it's not funny because he's just too much of a an asshole. I did like the joke about him constantly removing his car radio. That's great. But man, everything else sucks. God, that sex scene. That sex scene. I don't. You know, I would recommend just checking out the sex scenes from this movie, because they are an experience. The movie itself, no, just no. Apparently it's like one of the biggest drop-offs from week to week, box office wise ever, and just like one of the biggest flops ever. And like, yeah, no, definitely, totally understand that. This movie is for like maybe the most specific type of person, and that is not most people. So yeah, no, did not care for this movie. Would not recommend it. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got Hot Rod sitting at number 31 in the Really Like section. And then after that is Baby Mama sitting at number 130 in the Liked section. And then bringing up the rear, rightfully so, is MacGruber, sitting at number 164 in the Didn't Like section. And this is have a total of 171 old movies so far this year.